Go ahead.
Well, it's been delightful having Michaela as part of the capstone class this year, and it's been delightful having her in the Department of Art and Design. She's got a lot of skill, a lot of smarts, and the work you can see in the exhibition is very, very good.
Working with Michaela for all of my 4.5 years here, and I've honestly been blessed to experience just her art. It's inspired me a lot just to see her drive. I constantly am going to her to be like, hey, does this look good? And I don't know what I would be without her, so thank you,
So
Michaela.
Michaela is a wonderful student. She has been wonderful all these years that I have had her in class. She's funny in the fact that she will come in and just start working right away and make work really, really quickly, and then poof, she's like done, and this wonderful thing has emerged out of nowhere, which is just so fun to watch. And her show is beautiful and really powerful, I think, and the way that it's come together over time, I'm just really proud of her.
Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've been friends with Michaela in the BFA program for probably about 1.5 to 2 years now. And honestly, I think she's an amazing portrait artist. I mean, just like her scale of her work and the way she can portray people. I mean, I took drawing with her last year. I think it was around last year, and we had to do a self-portrait, and hers was amazing. Like, she just like whipped that out in a couple of days, and it was so good. And I'm so proud of her, and like just so excited for all of us. And she's such a good artist.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And any words from above?
I just met Michaela this semester, kinda. I always knew of her work, but I didn't know she was as amazing as she is. I got a full scale view of that today, with everything lit and in the studio, but I know she'll do well in the art world.
Am I on now?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. Michaela, hi. One of my best and favorite students. She's evolved and grown so much over the years. She's gone through so many changes, but I remember when she took an intro design class. It's been about 4 years ago now, and she loved to draw portraits. She loved to draw the pictures of people, and I always wondered how that would end up, how it would end up being part of her work, or what would change, because she's tried abstraction and so many styles, and here now she's doing portraiture with abstraction integrated with the portraiture, and it's interesting to see. She always loved to draw the face, and now she's got these large paintings with the faces, and then the abstraction, and as I said, integrated with it. She's come so far.
Michaela's work is really awesome because she's exploring different emotions, and I just think that's really awesome. And her painting skills are top-notch.
Whenever you're ready.
Right. Well, congratulations to Michaela first. And I'm really excited to see where she goes next, what the next move is, because I think it was a real pleasure to work with her, and I was lucky to work with her and JD in the same class together, and they were quite a dynamic duo. So yeah, it's been, I really appreciate her thoughtfulness in her work, so excited to see what the next step is.
This is Michaela Westra. She does have an audio aspect to this piece, but with the big crowd, I'm not sure we can hear it, but we'll turn it on after the talks, and hopefully we'll be able to hear it from Michaela.
Hello, as Anne said, my name is Michaela Westra. I'm a Bachelor of Fine Arts major with an emphasis in painting and printmaking. I have been working with Johanna Pass, who is my advisor, and I've also been working with Brian Elder and Michael Volker, who are my painting professors. My biggest motivation when it comes to my art career has been my dad. He's always been there to support me and kind of encourage me in doing art throughout my entire life.
I've always been drawn to people and faces without ever realizing it. And I began working on it while I was here at Central. I also became really interested in abstract painting, so I kind of struggled between deciding which one I wanted to focus on. So for this body of work, I decided to combine the two in order to convey emotion. Some of the influences that I've been looking to while working on this are Joshua Meals, who is a contemporary painter who works with large-scale abstract painting to convey emotion and vulnerability. I've also been looking to Chuck Close, who also does large-scale abstracted portraits, and he uses his paintings in a way to understand his own struggles. He is unable to recognize faces, so he uses his art in order to kind of understand that for himself. I'm using my own work to do the same thing, to understand, and what I'm working to understand is my little sister. Over the summer, she was diagnosed with a list of disorders. She was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder, borderline personality disorder, anxiety, and depression. As I was already working with emotion, I decided that after this, I wanted to focus that emotion around mental health. And as a way to do this, I wanted to create a physical representation of these using abstraction. I thought that color and texture could convey feeling and emotion more than any expression could. And I wanted these physical representations to be obscuring or being within the faces to kind of show that connection and that kind of takeover. While working on portraiture and abstraction, which are very different things, I wanted to kind of take the strong points of each and use the connection to create a stronger story. So with portraits, I could make the situations more human and more personal, and with a variety of faces, I was able to make it more universal. With the abstraction, I was able to create a more expressive and fluid example of mental health on top of portraits. With all of my pieces, there is an intentional eye contact. I wanted that to draw people in and create a conversation between the viewer and the painting. When it comes with my process, I like to think of a quote by Pablo Picasso, which is, "I begin with an idea and then it becomes something else." A good example of this in my work would be on the far wall, the gray wall. A small painting titled Undone is actually a study or a pre-painting for my centerpiece on the white wall titled Unstable. So it shows that I can start with one idea, and as I'm working, it can change drastically as I'm working. Another example of this would be my polka dot painting in the corner on the white wall, titled Unbalanced. This painting actually started out with a completely different base and a completely different color scheme. And as I was working, my hands kept moving and my mind stopped working, and I kind of surprised myself with the outcome. Another example of changing as I'm working is my white piece titled Tense. It's an intaglio print, and intaglio is a series of scratches on plexiglass or copper, and I used plexiglass. And the ink sticks to the scratches and then transfers to the paper. After the print, I continued to layer on top of it using charcoal, watercolor, gouache, and spray paint to add another layer of abstraction on top of the piece. Another process I enjoy using is drawing onto mylar, which is plastic. And you can see this in my pieces with the other two men in the corner, titled Elevated and Distressed, both of which are overlaying a large abstract composition. For the purple elevated print is a monotype, which is a single print of painting onto plexiglass and transferring the paper. And for my distress print, it is overlaying silkscreen. And silkscreen is a transferring of paint through a screen using a squeegee. And usually silkscreen uses a stencil to create exact forms. But for my pieces, I'm using open screen, which is, there are no stencils, and I'm creating my own forms, which is more organic. The diptych next to it is a continuation of this abstraction to kind of show a revealing of what's underneath. Another example of this process is my open screen grid, which is a series of connected color schemes. I wanted people to be able to look at this and look at the mini compositions and be able to see things. I wanted people to see either emotion or expression or even just memories. I wanted people to be able to look at all of my pieces closely and for a long time because there are so many mini compositions and so many details and color. In a way to get people to stay longer and interact with the piece, I added audio. And the audio is a series of interviews of people I knew and people that I didn't. And I asked them about their own personal experiences regarding mental health and their own personal advice. I wanted it to be kind of a cacophony of noises from far away, and then as you get closer, it's more intimate and a more personal conversation between the viewer and the listener, or the listener and the piece. I continued this with my interactive wall. I wanted people to share their story. I wanted the story to continue with more people, and I wanted them to get things off their chest and share their own story and have their words be seen, become a part of a community. While working with these pieces, I slowly began to understand something I could never truly understand. And I became very thankful for this creative outlet. And I see myself continuing art for the rest of my life, starting with going to graduate school. I would like to thank Johanna Poss, my advisor, Brian Elder and Michael Volker, my painting professors, Jeremy Davis for helping me with audio. I would like to thank my CMU classmates and my friends for helping me out. I would like to thank my parents and family for always supporting me. And I would like to thank my little sister for being who she is. Are there any questions? Yes.
Can you talk about the people that you chose? Do you know these people?
These are all strangers, save for the white tense piece. This is a self-portrait. I wanted there to be a range of people and people that I don't know to kind of create that universality between the conversation that anyone can be dealing with anything. And the reason why there's only one self-portrait is because this is my first piece. And when I started this process, I began by kind of applying it to myself in order to understand, and then I added strangers in order to create that multiple